everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of Square Triangle. This one is pretty soon after the last one we did about Elimination Chamber. That's just how it is sometimes.
Yeah.
Every 3 months when AEW has a pay-per-view, they always have it like the week after the last WWE pay-per-view.
Yeah, it's kind of blending together.
Yeah.
We double up every few months.
It's the same reason we don't do like New Japan, Ring of Honor, and all of that because we just that'd just be way too much.
If it became a full-time job, then we'd have the time, but we just don't.
I still don't think I would do it. I would be like, nah, I'm out, guys.
Yeah, we wouldn't do the daily shows, but we watch all the papers.
But this one is about AEW Revolution, which was just last Sunday.
We're recording this a few days after, so by the time we talk about this, we have gone through a Dynamite, which is a fantastic episode from everything I saw. And
a lot of implications coming out of that.
Yeah, this definitely they definitely followed up on a lot of stuff that kicked off with this show. And it's nice to see like a nice through line through pay-per-view into Dynamite.
The next storylines, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and they're also on a new season, so they have a new set and intro now.
Yeah, we're in the new season of AEW has started, which they always do. Every pay-per-view kind of like hits a reset on a lot of things. Overall, I think we all like this show. I think there were a few matches that were a little weak or a little messy. Then a few matches that were just like we don't even have notes for because of how fucking. Like it's just they back-ended this show with some of the best matches. I think that'll be on like a list for this year. So
yeah, 1 or 2 of those are definitely making a list for this year. We'll go over it shortly.
And
did anybody watch the pre-show?
I didn't watch the pre-show.
I did not. Well, I saw a little bit of it. That the Jeff Jarrett match with
I saw
the Bang Bang Scissor Gang. I think.
Yeah, it was the Jeff Jarrett's crew versus Bang Bang Scissor Gang. All I saw was the clip of the 7-man strut that he does, where he's doing it in the ring, and like all of his lackeys are doing it outside. But that was the only clip that I saw.
Pretty funny.
From that, but we didn't watch the kickoff show or anything.
The only thing I know about it is that I believe they're just making it a thing now that Max Caster's like fucking up his raps.
Yeah,
like, I think he did it once accidentally, but I think that's just his thing now.
I think Jay White cut him off on this one. Like he wouldn't let him like do it. Jay White's still very much a heel despite being teamed up with the baby faces.
Oh yeah, that was
Dynamite definitely
on one Dynamite.
Yeah, Dynamite definitely brought him back into the spotlight. We start off with a pretty good match. It's the Daniel Garcia and Christian Cage for the TNT title. This is a nice like opening match. It's not too bombastic, but also these guys know how to keep a crowd like interested.
I'm disappointed that Daniel Garcia lost this actually.
Yeah, it was a very good like series of weeks building up to this. I mean, he loses. It's not a clean loss overall, so it definitely very classic like heel finish, and are getting this led into an I Quit match between Christian Cage and Adam Copeland in Toronto, which is going to be probably a banger of a match.
One of them's gonna die.
Yeah. We got Daniel Garcia coming out with the Scorpion jacket because the whole story around this Revolution is that this is Sting's final match. And
every match has at least one person paying tribute,
or at least something to Sting's history. We'll get to it, but yeah, he has the Scorpion jacket. Yeah, this whole match was just like a perfect display of just how Christian is just so good at his age. Like what he's been doing. This is his best run, I think, of his career. It's like a leader of the patriarchy and his lackeys and Mother Wayne.
Somebody gave him the opportunity to like have a singles run, and he's running with it.
Yeah, and I absolutely love how he's just able to manipulate everybody into this whole faction. You know, starting with Nick Wayne, and then Kill Switch, and then Nick Wayne, and then Nick Wayne's mom. She got in on it. Like he literally manipulated his way into a faction, and I just think that's brilliant.
I think it's really good.
If gaslighting was a character, it is Christian Cage.
Gaslighting was a character.
Was a person.
Sure. There's some good the storyline in this match for the most part is Christian is like selling his ankle. Whether or not he's playing possum about it was left to be determined, but it did stop him from hitting a spear towards the end of the match. Daniel Garcia is kind of fighting off the whole patriarchy during this match. Killswitch is trying to get involved. Nick Wayne gets involved with the finish. I think we have to shout out Daddy Magic, just the performer that he is as like a supporting character.
Yeah.
He's adding to this Garcia story so much. Just as
he's also it's also remarkable that he's kind of like he's a really good commentator too. Like he adds to the broadcast every time he's on commentary.
I think if he ever stops having in-ring action, I think him as a commentator would be a great fit for him. Mm-hmm. He's Matt Maynard is just incredible. And this is a great thing for him to be doing now that, Angelo Parker is involved with the Ruby Soho storyline, stuff like that. The team that was formerly known as 2.0 in NXT are now kind of having their own kind of singles run to an extent, or at least they're separated for the time being. And I think Daddy Magic as like Daniel Garcia's supporting character is going to bring back that fire for Garcia.
It is.
That they've been hinting at bringing back for a while. Where he's not an entertainer anymore, he's a wrestler again.
He can be both. I think that's where the storyline goes, is that he's like, wait, I could just do both.
I can do both. The red pill or the blue pill slams both of them.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, he'll keep gyrating, like, to get to the ring, and when he does his corner punches,
he does hit that on Christian Cage and like basically gives him whiplash from the thrusts like during the match.
That was really good.
There was a moment that popped in this match. Garcia pulls the turtleneck up over Christian's face and starts beating him, and the crowd reaction to that was great. We also have Nick Wayne taking a wild bump into the timekeeper section. Like,
yeah,
like Nick Wayne sold the shit out of that.
He did.
Either it didn't hurt him too bad, and it just kind of went wrong with him going over it. But Nick Wayne was like chucked into this timekeeper area.
Darby's teaching him how to sell like that, I'm guessing.
Oh God, I hope not. Nobody needs to learn from Darby Allin ever.
We'll get to him later.
Yeah.
Yeah, because nobody needs to.
Another thing on commentary is just Nigel's perfect as a fucking heel commentator. So good.
But see, but the thing I love about Nigel McGuinness even more is that even though he is a heel commentator, he is 100% anti Bryan Danielson. Regardless.
Somebody has put it like a hater ranking for wrestling for this year, because it seems like everybody has one. You have like AJ Styles over in WWE. You got Nigel McGuinness. You got Drew McIntyre. Like, it's just, who's the biggest hater of 2024 right now?
So I guess we have to add Nigel McGuinness to that race as well.
Nigel McGuinness is on that list. This man hates
because right now we have AJ Styles, Carmelo Hayes, and Drew McIntyre, who I think is winning right now. Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
The promo where he was like, "I was preying on your downfall." I was like, "Yeah, nope, he's the hater of the year right now."
I do want to put that as an alert for something. Just a pop-up. I have a green screen of Drew McIntyre pointing, "I prayed for this and it happened." And I kind of want to put that as like like on my stream as something. I want that as like a redeem or something.
Yeah, somebody put that up as a green screen on Twitter. I'm like,
I got it. I have it saved in my files right now, and I'm like, I need to use it.
Maybe I need to use this at some point.
Yep.
I prayed for this and it happened. It's just a perfect line too for something like that.
It really is.
Overall, I like this match. It definitely is one of the better matches as we go through the first half of the show. I think the next match though is the one that I think I've said was my match of the night until the ending of the show.
Yeah.
Because we're moving right into Bryan Danielson versus Eddie Kingston for the Continental Crown. And
before we start, this is I
have you brought it up in the Discord, yeah.
I have to be mad about this again. That they're fighting for all three titles. That means Ring of Honor doesn't have a world champion. That means the Strong Championship is like also like locked into this for some reason.
But like
I made a title for this.
Yeah, but like I told you, I just think it's temporary for right now. I mean, yeah, it may seem like they don't have a world champion, but at the same time, they're not going to keep that for long. I think it's just a thing for Eddie, and then eventually he's going to drop the Ring of Honor.
Well,
world
I don't think
title.
Eddie has much like longer in his career too, with the age that he's getting at. Like, I think they're just kind of letting him get his moments, and probably 5 to 10 years from now, Eddie won't be active like wrestler anymore, probably.
Yeah. Right now they're just giving.
He's
him
in his
flowers.
40s now, I think. Right?
Yeah, he's about the same age I am. So, yeah.
Yeah, so
they're giving him his flowers, and like I said, this is only temporary, I think.
I don't know,
but it definitely does need to be broken up at least.
Yes,
they could probably make it I think just if he does lose it, or they break up all the titles, you just retire that belt, because I do think that they need to kind of trim down a little bit of everything. I think having the international title, the world title, the 2 TV titles, trios, and the tag and the win for AEW, and then having these like auxiliary belts from other companies does kind of muddy the water a bit. But I think Ring of Honor does need it to find its own identity more.
Yeah, and I really do think that they need to focus more on those belts on their Ring of Honor programming rather than on AEW, because it does kind of muddy the waters as far as titles.
We got the Ring of Honor trios on AEW main TV, and I'm like, you just probably need to make Ring of Honor its own identity now, its own identity more. Like,
or at least best we can do is NXT 2,
or at least just take away a few of the Ring of Honor belts, just make it NXT 2.0. Give it to some of the younger, more inexperienced guys 2.0. To be their developmental.
And just use Ring of Honor to develop these guys so they can eventually appear on AEW programming. It's
done wonders for Queen Amanita. Like, we saw her live when we next went to the show here in Norfolk.
She's beautiful in person, by the way.
She's beautiful. She's getting better and better every time she's in.
Oh yeah,
she's fantastic. But yeah, so this, I just think they do kind of need to stop and evaluate the belts and their companies. All right, let's consolidate everything a bit and just kind of reset after a certain point, But into this match, they get right into this fucking match. Like, there's no, once that bell rings, they're right into this. This is apparently Continental Crown rules, which means no outside interference, which means BCC cannot get involved.
It's honor rules. Oh, wait, that's also a thing.
Yeah,
somewhere. Never mind.
Right.
Yeah, it's honor rules is 2 point. It's honor rules redux because of the other belt being thrown in.
Honor rules about it. Boogaloo.
We talk about it every pay-per-view. A crowd will make or break a show. Greensboro knows fucking wrestling. Man, this crowd was hot for most of the night.
They better know wrestling. Greensboro is one of the meccas of pro wrestling on the East Coast, right? I mean, right where me and Sharky live in Norfolk, and then, where Deca lives in Houston, Greensboro, North Carolina. These are like meccas of pro wrestling. They should know.
But yes.
Yeah. The general area.
Yeah.
The general area. This one I'm speaking of.
Sure. Yeah, there's centers on each of these old territories that were just hot spots. Greensboro is definitely along those lines, and this crowd, it might have just been for Sting's final night, but this crowd brought the energy to this pay-per-view.
I enjoyed them. I really did.
We have dueling chants in this match. We have just Nigel hating Danielson's fucking guts on commentary. It's just so funny. This is a very, actually, like, almost old school kind of match. There's not a lot of big spots. It's just a lot more technical wrestling and striking, and then it devolves into them just slapping the shit out of each other when they're both worn out. This definitely felt like an old school, like, Japan style match.
It felt like an all Japan style match.
Yeah,
in a way.
I like that for this match. I will say, I think Choppy's getting a little old.
Yeah, Eddie probably needs to.
I think dueling chopping is getting a little old. I think it works for this match because it's AJPW style. Because that's what they're going for.
The problem I have with it is the thing is everybody in every company does chopping a little too much. It's like that and super kicks also. Okay.
Yeah,
those two things are they're oversaturated in all of the pro wrestling all the pro wrestling companies right now. I think they need to tone it back some.
I think that's why I like a match later in the night, the Ospreay match, because their offense is just way more varied in like the transition.
Actually, I was thinking of Ospreay when I was like, everyone does too many chops.
Oh. It's just there's a lot of like a very varied stuff in a lot of other matches. We'll get to something being oversaturated on later, which I'm going to bring up.
Yep.
But it's not a match that you might think it is.
But
yeah, it goes into actually some technical like mat wrestling. Mm-hmm. The turning point of this match kind of comes when Kingston chops the ring post, and just the rest of the match he's kind of fighting with his offhand rather than his good hand.
And sells the shit out of it too.
It sells the shit out of it.
He probably actually like bruised his hand.
Yeah. And
he may have.
Even at the end of the match, when Danielson tries to shake his hand, Eddie like stops him and like points to his other hand, and then they switch hands and handshakes. So if funny. Either it did hurt or he was like, "No, I'm selling this hand." So at least good awareness there for if it was selling.
Mm-hmm.
It is a little sloppy towards the end, where he tries to pick Danielson up for a power bomb because he's trying to do it one armed. And for Eddie's size, he's not muscular. Definitely just more of a like striker kind of wrestler. So he does struggle to get Danielson up. It's a Northern Lights bomb. And then just finishes off with a power bomb. Sends Danielson clean in the ring.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is Danielson's probably final year of wrestling, and he's having great matches. He's putting guys over. You know,
he's checking off a bucket list at this point because reverting to going to Dynamite, last night I think Ospreay's down the pipeline for him next. Yeah, Brian is just gonna do a checklist before he retires, and I'm all for it.
Okay, let's just pivot to Dynamite real quick. Not only do we end the show with a stare down between Danielson and Ospreay, which has me fucking hyped as shit. We also just get casually just Okada arriving and turning heel on Kingston and joining the Young Bucks after they suspend Adam Page and Kenny Omega for not showing up to work.
Kenny Omega from
they fired Kenny they fired him from the Elite because he's not showing up to work. Mm-hmm. The man, if for everybody who doesn't know, he's currently out with diverticulitis. So
every injury in the book, really.
Every injury in the book. And he posted his usual like that. Everybody's seen that Omega picture of him looking like what the fuck, like with the ring.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's just so funny. It's like he's the new member of the Elite, and it's now the Young Bucks and Okada, which is going to be a very interesting thing to see when Omega does return. All that and see how that all goes.
Oh, we're definitely going to get another Okada Omega match, and this time in the
probably
US.
At All In. If he's back in time, probably at All In. Like
they have to. So not in the US, but in the UK, but still, Yeah,
it's just I really liked this Danielson Kingston match just for like the classic feel of it. I know people, if you look at the cesspool that is the IWC on Twitter, people are always like, "Oh, the wrestling isn't, like it used to be." Like this is the kind of match that, for the most part, feels like it used to. When it comes to like old school wrestling, but then people are going to complain that Eddie Kingston doesn't wrestler. It's just like, okay, well, you can't make these people happy. So
now, you really can't. Half these people that make these comments don't look like wrestlers either. They couldn't probably last 5 minutes in that ring anyway.
The one that I saw today was just like, "Oh yeah, Okada's a great arrival, but the show didn't tell any stories." And I'm like, did you watch the first 15 minutes where Swerve came out and basically called out Joe saying, "You didn't beat me. You beat Page. You didn't beat me."
Yeah, no. I think it's I think regardless of Federation loyalties, like anytime someone says there weren't any stories, like my brother in Christ, because it's usually a dude, you did not watch the same show I did.
Like
watch the show.
AEW is getting better, with story and lore.
This whole episode had stories
right now.
The whole episode has stories.
A lot. It was just all story. With a
Well,
few wrestling matches.
the thing is, no matter what Fed you're talking about, if you're talking about AEW, WWE, Ring of Honor, wherever, like you are being disingenuous at best and straight up ignorant at worst.
What gets me is that these are the same people that'll be like, oh, The Rock was pointing like this in the last episode, but today he held up the loser sign. He's going to betray Roman, but they won't say the Joe Swerve promo was storytelling. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, you're going to look for all the subtleties.
I don't even think this is storyline. I don't think The Rock can flex his thumb.
I don't think The Rock can flex his thumb either. I think his hand just might be just fucked up with age. It's like,
or you might have carpal tunnel or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, so it's just like, but they'll look at all those little nuances and then say this Joe Swerve promo wasn't storytelling, and I'm like, these fucking dunces, man. It's like, moving on, we get to my least favorite match of the show. It's the All-Star 8-Man Scramble. This was probably just there to be fun. I think the original plan was Wardlow, Hobbs, Archer, I think was the original plan.
Oh, it was going to be a meat match.
They were supposed to have a meat match, and then
it was supposed to be those three, and then they made it an 8-man, like battle royale style, because I think they realized that shit, we can't. Or it was supposed to be Hobbs and Wardlow, and then they're like, shit, we can't have either of these guys lose. So they added Archer, and I'm thinking Archer said, I don't want to take the pin. So they added 5 other people. So
I thought it was I thought they were supposed to have Miro in here somewhere. I know Miro's hurt.
Somebody, it's just some they had a match planned, and then a bunch of stuff changed, and then we got this 8-man. Mm-hmm. The more I watch these like multi-man battle royale matches, the more I see like these can get kind of sloppy. And it's just kind of
that's regardless of federation.
Like, I remember, I watched Dante botch a dive.
He somehow botched it, but still managed to not hurt himself.
Yeah,
which was pretty good. They do kind of break down little moments in this match, like after they throw all the smaller guys out, all the meaty guys are like doing flexes, and then they just start like running into each other, and the crowd is loving it.
The small guys went to try to do it back.
And then
the big man did big man spots, and then like the cruiserweights did the cruiserweight style spots. So I thought that was a really good nuance for that match as well.
That was cool. I think they made the best of what they. I think they made the best.
They made the best of what they had.
Sudden match.
I think it was also like 12 minutes, so it didn't go for too long.
Yeah.
Dante got caught on the ropes, but still somehow managed to get enough momentum that he hit the people he was supposed to hit. So that's good. For Archer's size, I really like that like step up knee strike he does on the turnbuckle.
And he also did that. And he also did the Undertaker rope walk thing into a moonsault, which I thought was pretty good too.
I hate that Undertaker walk because I'm just like, just pull him down.
And they do when they counter it.
Yeah, it's just like the longest time it's like they're just letting him like walk up, and I'm like,
just pull him down.
Like, just be like, ugh.
You like watching the stupid shit with like zombies and stuff, but that's where your immersion breaks.
It's just, this is why the ICW mindset's fucking stupid. Because they'll be like, oh, this match, nobody sells, blah, blah, blah. This whole gimmick is stupid. And I'm like, they could just pull down Undertaker. It's like
nobody started it in like 30 years. Just like yank them.
It's just like, it's always this like weird, like, where do the goalposts like fall in line for today? I'm just like, people are just so stupid. Just enjoy wrestling, man. We all know it's been fake since the 90s. Stop trying to go back to believing it's real. We know it's not. You're never going to get that fantasy back.
You're never going to convince anybody it's real ever again. We all know it's.
You're never going to convince me that Swerve actually broke into Hangman's house and put a shirt on his baby's crib.
Yeah.
Like, because that man would have been arrested for breaking and entering. He filmed it. Like,
yeah.
So you have to. I know people want to go back to a more believable wrestling, but we just can't. So just appreciate it for what it is.
It's long gone.
It's a physical TV show. It's a physical action TV show. Like,
it's jock theater.
It's a jock theater. It's not real. Just enjoy it. That being said, there are like bad things. This match definitely was not great. I would not recommend this match to somebody you're trying to get into wrestling, unless you want to show them just the the crowd chanting meat because that's always funny. There was a really interesting submission hold in this match, though. The Red Rum and the Walls of Jericho being applied to Wardlow.
Mm-hmm. That
was
was an
really
interesting
cool.
spot.
Yeah.
Wardlow then powerbombs Dante after clearing the ring, pins Dante, and gets the win. You see that leading to big business now, where Wardlow will be taking on Samoa Joe. That was announced last night. I don't like that this early because either something screwy is going to happen, like one of them is going to have to lose. And I don't think Wardlow has enough momentum now to take this loss cleanly and keep going. This is going to be the same thing they always do with Wardlow. They throw him into the picture too soon. Like, let him build up a little bit more.
Yeah, they should have just let that breathe for a little bit. Honestly, they could have waited a couple more episodes of Dynamite before they did that. Yeah, I think they got something else planned for the pay-per-view, but they're just trying to get it out of the way right now. So,
yeah, it's one of those things. I'm like, we always do this with Wardlow. The moment he gets like 1 or 2 wins, it's like title picture, and I'm like, no, because it hasn't been enough time. He's going to lose.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah,
you can literally throw anybody else at Joe. Let Joe eat half the roster, and then throw Wardlow in when it's almost time. But I can probably see Swerve getting involved too to cost Wardlow, because I think we pointed it out last night when Joe won the title, there was that look of realization on the Dynamite that followed that he has a target on his back now from like every angle. Wardlow's one, Swerve's one, Hangman was one. Like, Joe is fighting on all fronts. And there are a lot of people that want that title. So going to be interesting, because I think a lot of people are going to start costing other people their title wins moving forward here.
I like when I do, in saying that, I like when the emphasis is on the title. Like that's where the picture is. That's what everyone wants. That's the richest prize in the game.
Joe's a great champion to build this show around. He has great promo work. He's a beast in the ring. The opponents you're throwing against him. Yeah, the opponents you're throwing against him have their own presence in the company already.
I mean, and no offense to MJF's title reign, but I think that's kind of what it was lacking a little bit. It was them building the story around the title. It
fell apart when Cole got injured.
Yeah.
I think when Cole got injured, you probably should have just taken the belt off MJF. Because it's like, shit, he's a major component of this with the storyline, but he's now like the mustache trolling villain in a wheelchair. A bunch of henchmen now, and I'm like, the last few months of MJF's story just kind of fell to the wayside a bit.
Yeah, because it dragged on way too long, and I think they were trying to stretch as much of this stuff with Cole as possible, but I really do think they should have just dropped the title, with MJF a while back, and he shouldn't have even made it to the end of the year at World's End. But that's just me, though.
Yeah, and I think with what's going on now, I feel like Swerve probably had a face turn last night. To a certain degree.
For sure. It was for sure a face turn.
And then being choked out by Joe and the promos he had with Cole, I think we're probably going to see Swerve versus the Kingdom for a little while until he's back in the picture for the title. So it's going to be fun seeing that. I mean, Swerve's on fire right now.
Yep.
We've got to put the belt on him next. Like,
Swerve is
Joe into Swerve. That has to be the plan right now.
It should be.
We shall see.
But if you don't do it at Dynasty, do it at Double or Nothing. Though.
This is the same year that I want the Best Friends to finally get a title run with the tag titles. I feel like they've been here long enough and showed their work enough that it should be time for even a short one. We'll be fine. Speaking of Best Friends, we move into Roderick Strong and Orange Cassidy for the International Championship. And while this match was great, God, does this match bury the backbreaker. Like,
yeah,
I lost count of how many backbreakers Roderick Strong hit in this match.
He's a backbreaker.
And I get it. That was the main focus of the match, was pretty much him trying to cause further damage to Orange Cassidy's back and ribs.
Yeah,
I get it. But there was like every 5 seconds, there was another backbreaker. I'm like, Roderick, dude, you know there's some other things you could do to injure his back a little more, right?
This is the match where it's like, okay, the chopping might be overdone, the super kicks might be overdone. I think Roderick only really had offense with backbreakers in this match.
Mostly.
You know that meme where it's like the dude with the hair going aliens. It's just Roderick Strong backbreakers.
I mean, he was king of the backbreakers in Ring of Honor. Like that was the
Messiah
of the backbreaker, and he makes them look good. But goddamn, dude, I had to put a note here. It's like just backbreaker after backbreaker in this fucking match.
At some point, the back will actually be broken, and then he'll be there.
I also put he almost murdered Orange Cassidy with that backbreaker drop onto the turnbuckles, which I think was like the big spot in this match that everybody remembers, just him dropping OC from the turnbuckle.
Right.
Also put a note here, the average age of this match is 39 and a half. Orange Cassidy being 39, Roderick being 40. So
yeah.
So
it hasn't been about age in a very long time. I think that's a very antiquated thought.
Yeah. But it just shows like how long these guys have been doing this.
Yes.
Just how good they are.
It goes to show how well they've been taken care of after all the CTE bullshit came down in 2007.
Yeah. Here's a little fun fact. You know, back in the Jakara days, you know, Orange Cassidy is one that he was like the fire ant, I believe. He's one of them. And he did a lot of this. He can wrestle his ass off, man. This just goes to show you how long he's been doing it. You know, Roderick Strong, he's a former Ring of Honor World Champion. I hope they get back around to that with him at some point. But right now, he's the international champion. I think he's going to do a wonderful job with that.
Yeah. So a lot of abuse going to Orange Cassidy this match. This is like this. I think this is the second match. I put a note here. This is the second defense match where he's absolutely to shit coming into this match. Like first it was Moxley, now it's Strong. Orange Cassidy's like his whole story is like he just gets broken down to the point of just being unable to fight back in matches. There's some really good like jumping knee strikes. Roderick does them really well.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone with that body type that does like jump and like slaps the thigh like fast enough because they're like kind of doing it in one fluid motion, it always looks really good.
Yeah. It definitely looks better than Brian Cage's did during that 8-man. Brian Cage, I don't think can jump that high to make those knee strikes look good based on his size. But we hit a good rising knee strike into the end of Heartache. Orange Cassidy takes the pin. Roderick Strong is now your international champion. Good time to transition the belt, I think. Roderick and Undisputed Kingdom are on fire right now.
Yeah, they have to build them up right now because I felt like the Undisputed Kingdom was kind of trailing for a couple weeks, but now I think they're getting them back on track, and we're going to get into the greater story with them as they go along.
And that story has an interesting element now.
The greater story is that when Wardlow wins the AEW Championship, he's just going to give it to Adam Cole.
That's the plan.
Which I don't think he is, but
no. Wardlow keeps being hired as like the muscle, and it just keeps biting him in the ass.
Mm-hmm.
The story now has an interesting element, as we have, after 2 years, Kyle O'Reilly is back. And the only note I have for this is this man looks tired.
He looks like a kicked puppy.
He spent the last 2 years dealing with the back surgery, diabetes. You saw the glucose monitor on his arm. He came into the ring. They offer him a spot in the Undisputed Kingdom. He denies it. And walking up the ring, thanking the crowd, I'm really happy to see Babyface O'Reilly back. So that's going to be a fun journey to see him back in the company like that.
Yeah.
Where his story goes with Roderick and Adam Cole.
Yep.
It's nice to see him back, though.
It is nice.
Especially after the back stuff. We also had a Pac vignette. It's coming back, so we're getting 2 of people that have been missing from AEW for a while for injury reasons. Coming back, and it's always great to see that on a pay-per-view. It just adds to the energy of the show. Shit, yeah, we're getting people back now.
Yeah, I like Pac. He's a much better villain than he is a good guy.
Absolutely. I don't think there's ever in AEW thinking about it. I don't think there's ever been a bad Pac match.
Yeah, for sure.
he's just a great person to be in the ring with. I think for certain opponents, he can make other people look great too, based on just his selling ability. All that
Pac
too.
is an excellent performer. He really is. He is an excellent performer, and I think he's been to me he's been missed around AEW a lot.
Definitely felt the I miss his presence in the international title scene.
Yeah.
Like there are guys that are just perfect in AEW for certain divisions. Like
Jamie Hayter's another one, by the way. I'm kind of missing seeing her around.
Yeah.
So it's just like, hey, look, we have this international title. These guys would be like the perfect, like, constant faces at like title scene. I think Pac is definitely like one of those guys. I don't think he'll ever get world, but he's definitely a good international champion to have.
I think he can get world title at some point.
At some point, but with how long they do title reigns and stuff like that, and a lot of it is kind of just based on reactions from the crowd, and Tony Khan is keyed into what they want. I think it might take a while.
I'll say someone around Tony Khan is keyed into something what the people want. I don't think it's everyone thinks the Tony Khan thing. I think he just has a good team around him.
Yeah, the creative team. Because
being
I don't think
head of creative doesn't make you the only person making decisions.
Yeah, because I think with the reactions that Swerve has been getting since that death match, I think they're like, we need to strap a rocket to this fucking guy. Same thing with Ospreay and everything later, as we'll get to.
You know, and that's really smart at AEW because they really need to start building up some of their talent that they have, and they got a lot of talent there that could probably be primed for main event spots in the near future.
I think now with
one of them.
I think now with the talent that they have and the response that a lot of that talent's getting, I think it's time for them to sit down and seriously entertain the question of who the fuck doesn't want to be here anymore. We can cut some of this fat.
They could.
Like if Miro doesn't want to be here, we'll let him fucking go. Like if Malachi Black doesn't want to be here anymore, we'll let him go. Like we have the people now that people like. Like I don't think should probably waste time on people who don't.
For what it's worth, I don't actually believe, when they report that Malachi wants out.
No, I think because he is a professional. When he was gone for, I believe his mental health issues with like his friend's death or something. I think that was something that was going on. Mm-hmm. He made that Instagram video where he's like, "No, I hired to work here. I'm going to do my job."
Exactly.
He is truly a professional. I don't think people like I can probably not say the same about people like Andrade, probably Miro. I think they thought they would be able to come in and be top dogs just because of their, fan popularity in WWE. When that didn't work out, it's just kind of like soured them. I don't know. I think it's time for them to sit down and evaluate like who doesn't want to be here. We can put all the time and effort into the people that do.
Yeah.
And I think that should be the plan moving forward. It's just to focus on the guys that really want to be here and really want to earn a top spot in AEW. They don't need all these guys at this point. They're getting the signings that they want, and then guys like Miro, Andrade just ended up back in WWE, to a very lukewarm response. But if that's what they want to do, go ahead and let them. Because at this point, they're starting to bring in talents and they're starting to build up talents that people want to see. And that's what AEW should have done from the get-go.
We finally got Private Party back. They're being displayed more as a tag team. The crowd, once they saw that Mark Quinn was back, the crowd popped for it. It's like, yes, we're getting that original team back finally. We're getting them out from Matt Hardy's
coming back.
Shadow. Pac's coming back.
Jamie Hayter will be back before you know it. We got Kyle O'Reilly back.
They have been doing a great job with the women's division. I do feel bad there's only one match on this pay-per-view, and it's the shortest match, which kind of feels bad.
Because you just said that, and then only counted one match.
I made my notes here too of the build-up to this feud to be given like the least amount of time. Actually kind of sucks. Like we could have cut that entire 8-man for a little more time in this match or a second women's match. I think this match deserved more time.
For sure.
Honestly, that 8-man should have been on the pre-show, but that's just me.
Yeah.
If that 8-man was on the pre-show, and then you have the women's match just slot right in.
Yeah.
Because they had that one match.
There was no Julia Hart.
Chris Statlander. Well, that's the thing. Julia Hart was on the 0
Oh,
hour.
so we're on the pre-show. Yeah, I saw that. They lost the tag team match, didn't they?
Yep.
Yeah. So what? I don't like champion teams taking the pinfalls. I do understand that Statlander and Willow are kind of like on a hot streak right now too.
Yep.
And at that point, it's just like put another team in Julia Hart's place. Like just. But we'll get to that too. I have some thoughts about the Razzo Tony Storm match. We get our first like non-gimmicked match, non-title match. FTR versus Moxley and Claudio. This is just your basic tag team match for the most part. I even point out like this. I think this is the perfect place for this match on the card.
Yeah.
Had this been earlier or replaced with the 8-man, I think it would have killed the momentum a little bit. But I think if this match was later in the show, it would have brought the crowd down from that high that those last 3 matches gave them. This is just a very good, hot crowd for this match. Because FTR is North Carolina boys. So, roughly hometown heroes here. I did ask, random thought, is Cash going to jail?
I don't know.
Because I think they said that. I think they said that they are pursuing charges. I just don't know when. So I'm just like, is Cash going to jail?
Mm-hmm.
Just a random thought in the middle of this match.
Yeah, but for the most part, I really do think that this match was a lot of. This is pretty much a continuation of what we saw on Dynamite. You know, it was pretty much the same standard type match where, you know, it was just a lot of hard hitting action and, you know, them just kind of laying into each other. And
there was a lot of chops. A lot of chops in this match. So bringing up what Deca brought up earlier. We do get a lot of mat wrestling though too. Moxley does a lot of classic mat wrestling. It's very good. A ton of near pinfalls with breakups.
Mm-hmm. I do like that in tag team matches specifically, the near fall, because I think it's better to get someone else to like push, and it makes more sense in the context of the match.
Yeah, this is better. It's better than just kicking out.
That could have finished the match, but it didn't.
Yeah. I did point out that BCC is rocking the Road Warriors gear in tribute of Sting's history. Through I don't know the exact history of Sting with Road Warriors, but seeing Moxley and Claudio with that ring gear was really good. A bunch of back and forth towards the end. It does end with a double submission hold being applied. Dax then passes out, allowing Moxley and Claudio to win. This is not a lot to like talk about in terms of the action. This is just a very good tag team match.
It's a very clean match.
I would recommend like somebody watch this match if they want to get into wrestling. Like this is a good display of like tag team wrestling. I also took a joke here from Twitter. Somehow Dax is bleeding before Moxley. Yuck yuck. So actually, it's been like 2 months since Moxley last bled in a match. So people are getting mad they can't make that joke anymore. I bet he saw everything and he's like, I'm gonna fuck with him. Like,
I'm not gonna bleed it off.
I ain't got time to bleed.
I ain't got time to bleed.
But yeah, this is a really good tag team match. Definitely one of the matches I would recommend people watch on this show. They just want to see
it was a very solid, like technical, like
a very technical
match.
Very technical, very classic feeling match. And I'm wondering if all these like somewhat classic wrestling feeling matches just because of where they are. Like I think Greensboro appreciates this old school style probably a little more than any other location would.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get to the women's match, which for weeks and weeks of build does not get a lot of time. It's not that great. And I'm just like, damn it.
These are two great like wrestlers too. Like
They're two great
Toni
wrestlers.
Storm is a fantastic wrestler. Deonna Purrazzo, a wonderful wrestler. Theoretically, they should have chemistry together because they've known each other for decades on
They
on the
just
scene.
weren't given time.
Yeah.
No.
It is not a clean victory either, so they have that to build on still if they need to. The video package at the start of this is great. And then Mariah May coming out as OG Toni Storm was a great swerve. She
That was
looks
pretty good.
just like her.
I was gonna say I
Yeah.
thought it was Toni Storm. I was like, and then it wasn't. And
The
it
first-
wasn't until the commentary was like, oh, that's Mariah May. I was like,
Yeah, I didn't
like,
see
what?
either. Yeah. This was the first of two great gimmick swerves. The second great gimmick swerve was in the Sting match because it legitimately swerved me. I thought he was coming out as Surfer Sting
Yeah.
for his final match, and I was like, that's actually baller as fuck. But no. Taz is great on commentary. He there's a little moment here. She's doing this 40s thing. I'm so confused. Like Taz is just talking about Tony's gimmick and all that, and it's just like the man's legitimately confused to what the fuck's going on with her. Like, god damn it, I love Taz so much.
Taz, this has been going on for months. Come on, man, get it together.
You should know by now, Taz.
This is a women's match that has a lot of technical wrestling in it. That is very different to see in terms of recent memory for matches. Deonna is a great technical wrestler. I assume Toni has had experience in it as well.
Again, these women have been wrestling for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they wrestled all over the world too, so that pretty much they displayed that in this match because there was a lot of excellent mat wrestling on here.
A great mat wrestling. It's just Toni with these hip attacks just makes him look so brutal every fucking time. Like the whiplash that you probably feel getting hit by them. There's a moment in this match that I think was an audible. It looked like Purrazzo was going up for a moonsault, but when she could not get into position fast enough, she just turned and like cross-bodied Luther. I don't know if anybody else, either of you noticed that when she was trying to go up on the turnbuckle. She was going up it with her back towards Luther when he was carrying Toni, and I guess she was looking to see if she could moonsault, but then she turned around and just decided to crossbody instead.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a good audible if that's a time thing for her. I just don't think she felt safe enough doing it.
I like it makes sense if you're like wrestling somebody that when you're wrestling them, if you're thinking one move and you turn, you're like, this is a much better move, and then just do the move.
Yeah.
It makes sense in the kayfabe of like, no, I want to do this move. This move actually works in the moment. And it speaks to how experienced they're putting over, how much experience they're putting over Deonna Purrazzo.
Yeah. And I mean, she crossbodies Luther while he's carrying Toni. It gets back into the ring, and here is a very creative finish, at least to a short match. The ref is distracted by Luther. Toni does tap to the submission hold. The ref does not see it. Mariah gets involved. Mariah gets kicked and has a pretty nasty fall off the apron. But then turning back, Toni's able to capitalize, hits Purrazzo, and retains the title. So it does show that Purrazzo can beat Toni. She could not because of the numbers game. And I'm interested to see where the story goes from here, if Purrazzo's going to move on to Mariah, or if she's going to try to get back into the Toni title scene.
I think she sticks around
in the scene for a bit.
Yeah, she's going to stick around with Toni for a bit. I think it leads to a second match. I don't know where, but, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it was a very, the implications of the finish of Toni tapping, but the ref just not seeing it. Very fun story to build off of. And then this pay-per-view is like, okay, fuck it, full gas. Like the rest of this fucking show.
Oh, we get to the meat of this paper. We get to the steak of this paper.
They were just like,
this match on.
Tony's just like top loaded.
The rest of this pay-per-view was like a nice amuse-bouche for the most part. There's a little bit of spoiling, a little bit of it, with the arguably with the 8-man, but like it was like a nice like appetizer to wet the palate. And then these last 3 matches just hit.
They
Deca,
put the stake in the last 3 matches.
Can you look up the total time for these last 3 matches? Because I think it is 50 something minutes. I think it's like an hour. Maybe it's like an hour. But this, I just want to know, like, from the Ospreay to the Sting match, just how long?
Let me see.
Last 3 matches are 22 minutes, 19 minutes, and 21 minutes.
So about an hour.
Yeah.
And this hour does not fucking stop. Like,
they hit the gas on this last hour of this pay-per-view.
So they start us off with Will Ospreay's first pay-per-view match, or his first match officially as a member of the roster, versus Konosuke Takeshita, who strap a rocket to both of these fucking guys. Finally,
I've been saying strap a rocket.
Like, to if anything proved it, this is this match. Just these two, build them up, get them into the title scene once Swerve has the world title. Give me Ospreay versus Swerve, Takeshita versus Swerve, like
everything.
All of this.
This match made the case for them, for AEW, to build the whole company around these two.
Yes.
Okay. I think Will Ospreay, surprisingly, he's an endearing face. Takeshita's a great heel. They both can wrestle their asses off. This is where you start building the company around these guys, man, because this is your future right here.
This guy was in DDT where they wrestled blow up dolls.
Yeah. So let's just start from the top. Konosuke comes out. He has
DDT
music finally.
Is so ridiculous.
Takeshita has music finally, and it adds so much to the presentation.
I mean, it sounds like an old WCW theme, but it's music.
Yeah, it's not the droning like energy of the other song. Even though that's like a perfect song if you make him a more like terrifying heel. If you just make him like, if you get into a ring with this guy, he's going to kill you. Like, that's a good song to give, or a good like entrance to give him. Then it's like, yeah, Takeshi, you have your new music and everything, and you're gonna be portraying great. And then Ospreay keeps his fucking song. They got Elevate in AEW. Crowd is going nuts. Like, just this Greenboro crowd just loves this fucking song.
The Greenboro crowd was chanting Ospreay. Ospreay did the song, and I was like, "This is a cool moment." It really
and for the next 18 minutes, these guys do not stop. Like, there is not a people pointed out there's not a moment of selling in this match, and I don't give a shit. It's like this.
I don't care either. This was fun to watch.
They're not being genuine about it as always with the IWC. Because
have you ever heard of the fighting spirit? Because this is what these men displayed in this fucking match.
Tell me you've never seen New Japan without telling me you've never seen New Japan.
Or Japanese wrestling in general, because I mean, this is what they do all the time over there, so it doesn't bother me as much.
It was very puresso.
Yeah, my first note here is if you can give Takeshita and Ospreay the Hangman Swerve treatment, just make them have a forever war with each other. Like, I could get behind that.
I would love like the Sami Zayn Kevin Owens thing, where every like 3 years they have to fight each other.
They team up, they fight, they betray. They team up, they fight, they betray.
Yep.
This has so many moments that are just series of moves and counters and
2 instances of them clocking the shit out of each other with elbows.
If you haven't watched this match, pause the fucking podcast and watch this match.
Pause this podcast, watch that match. You tell me what you thought about it in the comments.
I mean, it's just like all the shit. There's the like Inzaguri into like the Spanish Fly series of moves. There's the fucking, I guess, suplex that he hits, and Ospreay powers up and just hits like a flying hidden blade against Takeshita, which fucking visually looked good.
And then there was this one spot where Ospreay was going for an Os cutter, and
he hits a blue thunder bomb
out of midair with a blue thunder bomb.
Takeshita landing,
impressive shit.
Takeshita landing, it's just these like good impact elbows. He's hitting the sound just right, so these things sound like they have fucking impact. God, these guys are so good.
It was a great match. This was my match of the night. Like,
this was my match of the night.
This is my match of the night for sure.
There was, it was the there's also that contusion that fucking Ospreay got on the turnbuckle.
Yeah, that turnbuckle brainbuster, that shit looked brutal as hell. Like,
he showed off.
He scraped down. I think he scraped like all 3 of those turnbuckles on the way down, and I thought he was gonna land on his head.
They showed his back and fucking bruised.
It looked insane.
So there was the Stormbreaker that got countered into a bunch of shit. He hits a hidden blade. Takeshi kicks out at 1. This is towards the end of the match.
Yeah.
It's like
he had that last little power up, which
he
is
hits
again the
him.
fighting spirit thing that Americans don't seem to understand the concept of like the fighting spirit.
Yeah, there was. I think one of my favorite Impact moments was Ospreay just getting leveled with this lariat, and he did like the full body like rotation in the air. Like it wasn't one of those normal like I'm hit and like tuck for a flip. He like fully extended out his legs, so his body just went as he got hit by this lariat, and it just looked so good. The jumping knee gets countered into a Styles clash. I'm just like, what the fuck? How much longer is this match? These guys are just going like foot on the pedal the whole time.
They just went nuts in this match. They really did.
And then we get the Tiger Driver into a hidden blade, and Ospreay wins. And if this, I mean, Ospreay already came in with fire behind him, but goddamn if this did not put Takeshita back on the map after everything with Don Callis.
I want them to like Takeshita needs to be pushed.
Yes.
I was gonna say put into a title, but no, I want him to be pushed.
He came in real hot. He had matches with Danielson, Omega, Hangman, and then they put him with Callis, and he was just kind of floundering for a bit. He got more wins against Omega. He's proving to be the alpha to Kenny's, Omega. That's the whole like naming thing. But I think this reminded people of who the fuck Takeshita is.
If you didn't know how good Takeshita was before this match, now you know. Okay, this is the reason why they were putting so much hype behind Konosuke Takeshita when he arrived in AEW, because he can put on these types of clinics against some of the best in the world.
And by all means, Takeshita did not look weak losing this match.
Oh no,
that's the thing. Like he looked like a superstar in this match. It was so good.
He looks like he should be in the main event picture.
So, with the car currently going at 100 miles per hour, Tony Khan's like, all right, let's hit it into the next gear. And they gave us the World Championship match to Triple Threat, Samoa Joe, Hangman Adam Page, and Swerve Strickland. And this isn't as fast as a Will Ospreay Takeshita match, but this still has some moments in it. One of the more subtle ones is Hangman has absolutely lost it, being his lower third announcement card, which I thought was really funny. So it's starting off, and you have Hangman and Swerve getting in each other's face, and then Joe just doesn't have time for it. He starts beating the shit out of both of them, which I think is a really good way to portray your champion. Yep. He does the walkaway spot from Swerve, which was really funny. I love it. There's so much, and he manages to get like a high kick on Page as he's trying to go for the dive. People forget that Joe's actually like kind of flexible too. Like he can hit these high kicks if he wants to.
Joe had to wrestle in Ring of Honor where everyone was doing flippy shit, so like he had to like have some to him.
My favorite thing about this match, just the difference in styles between these guys. You have Joe, who's like just this brawler for the most part, and a lot of submission holds and technical wrestling. You got Hangman, who's more of like a classic wrestler, striker with a few things, and then you have Swerve, who's like this wild card, like modern day wrestler, all this crazy offense.
You know what this reminded me of? AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joe, and TNA, almost 20 years ago. That's what this match felt like to me. And anytime I get reminded of something like that, you know this is going to be a good match, because that was just an absolute classic.
It was one of the best matches in TNA.
Yeah. The story of this match, though, is not just these three men and Swerve and Hangman's rivalry. The story about this is actually what Hangman is willing to do to stop Swerve from winning the world title.
Did he slug a ref or something?
This is what the second half of this match devolves into. Building up to this, you get a good combination. All three of these guys get their like one-on-one against each other, so you get a nice little combination going. Very well booked match. These three guys are also just great wrestlers, and they probably have a lot of just chemistry and psychology in this match too. Hangman takes out the ref, Smacks Swerve with the belt. I put Hangman McFucking losing it in my notes.
Yeah.
He takes out another ref.
I
After
beat the
Swerve.
piss out the second ref.
Yeah, he takes out another ref. I think he takes out Bryce.
It's
The
Bryce
second time.
Mansbrook, 'cause the funny thing
Swerve
was that-
refuses to use Nana's crown. And I think Hangman just lays him out and beats up another ref.
Yeah, because
Swerve hits Hangman with a buckshot. The crowd goes fucking crazy. Like, and a JML driver is hit. Joe throws out Swerve, I believe. Joe applies the submission hold to Hangman, and Hangman taps, so Swerve cannot win. And I think this is the perfect finish for this match, all things considered.
The pettiest shit I've seen in my life.
He takes out 2 referees and then taps. Like,
because he's willing to do whatever it takes to make sure Swerve will not be AEW World Champion, and that he's keeping that promise.
But he's right. Swerve is the villain of this story. He broke into his house. He did all this other shit, and people still cheered him. And Hangman's like, "The fuck is wrong with you all?" It's like, this man is the villain, and it's a perfect double turn. Like, it's a different kind of double turn, but it's a very good double turn because people now felt sympathetic for Swerve based on everything, and Hangman's just losing his big fucking marbles and becoming a heel.
But AEW doesn't have story, right?
Yeah, if we don't tell you in a 15-minute video package, you won't understand.
Yeah.
So,
I
liked this match a lot, just for all the storyline implications and just how good these 3 guys are together when there was actually like wrestling going.
Yes.
This is
all 3 of these wrestlers are really good.
It's a perfect blend of the wrestling and then the story breakdown of like, here's how we're going to finish this match and keep the storylines going. Because then carried on into Dynamite, where at the start of the show, Swerve is saying, he didn't win, but he didn't lose either. Then Joe comes out and is talking shit. It's like, well, I still have the belts, so who won and who lost. And it led into some other shit, and then Joe chokes out Swerve at the end of their tag match, which I think is a good move. It just adds more sympathy to Swerve, I think, at the end of this too. So, great match. And then, final match of the night. Final match of a career. A perfect send-off. And if all the reports coming out of this are true, Sting adamantly tried to put the Bucks over, and they were not having it.
Nope.
The one thing you'll always know about Sting from pretty much the beginning of Sting in the 1980s or 70s or whenever, is his presentation. His presentation has always been immaculate. When he was like one of the only wrestlers in America with face paint. He had the American tights, running into the ring, Surfer Sting, going into WCW as the Crow by
being the sole defender of WCW.
Being the sole defender of WCW, just watching ominously from the rafters.
Yeah.
And going into TNA and being like everything has always been about being the Joker.
Main event Mafia. Like, he's just been presented as this top of the card.
It's not even top of the card. He just presents himself in such a way that he himself is making himself special as he presents himself. He presents himself as special because he thinks he is special because he is. And all of that.
And on top of that, Sting always wanted to give back to the community, to get back to pro wrestling, which gave him everything. He had guys like Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes and help him on the way up, and he's just trying to give back to the younger crowd. He's trying to give back to the younger generation, and him trying to put the Bucks over. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the plan that he wanted. But
it was, and Tony Khan and the Bucks refused. They were like, "No, you're going to go out." With a win, you're going to go out undefeated in AEW, 30-0. And it stems from Tony talking to him. I think they mentioned it during an interview that Sting had. It's just, I don't like how you were treated at that other place, and we're not going to treat you like that here.
Yeah, they wanted
Anyway.
to give him his flowers, and I thought that was really cool.
All of that to say, so when Sting enters and his sons are cosplaying him from different
Yes.
periods of time,
So
that
it's
shit was the tightest shit ever.
so it starts out. There's two guests. First we have Ric Flair, Boo, and then we have the better Rick of Ricky Steamboat come out.
Steamboat,
Yes.
I love
And
that.
everybody's like, there's a bunch of legends in the crowd. You have Magnum
Lex Luger's in the
TA,
crowd.
Nikita Koloff, I believe, was there. Lex Luger, DDP. You had a bunch of his friends and fellow wrestlers from his era.
Mhm.
I wish they would have shown them more on TV, but I'm understanding probably legend contracts stop that from happening and stuff like that.
Yeah.
His sons, yes, he has two sons. They come out as different generations of Sting. You have Surfer Sting,
the
who
one
looks
who did Surfer
exactly
Sting
like
is a-
him.
Yeah, it was scary.
I thought I was getting swerved. I really did. I thought Sting was going to come out as
I was
his.
like, damn, where'd that come from?
I was like, he's going to come out as Surfer Sting. He's just going to end it as he started it, you know. But no, that's his son, who is a YouTuber apparently that does Destiny 2 content.
He's a Destiny 2 content creator.
Yeah,
Wait, for real?
people didn't know because he never mentioned it. I think that just shows how, you know, humble Sting is. That
What's his channel?
It's like
I'll
a.
show you.
We'll share after.
Let's just put it in the Discord at the end.
But I think it just shows like how humble of a person Sting is, that he passed on those values where it's like his sons were able to do their own thing and not just be like, Sting's my dad. You know, use it to. But people didn't know that he was Sting's son for the whole time he had his channel. And then his other son, I believe, played football. So I think that's just like his athletic background. But they come out as Surfer Sting, rocking the original outfits apparently that Sting owned. His sons wore his outfits.
His sons got into shape to wear those outfits.
That's why he didn't upload for like 30 days. He was like, I had a month to get into some kind of shape to like do this. His other son comes out as Wolfpack Sting, red tights, the red face paint.
Probably my favorite iteration of WCW Sting, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine too.
Then Sting arrives, and they had a very, very good video package for Sting.
Something about, you know, it's kind of sad in a way, bittersweet, I think.
Yeah.
If just picture it as you in like 40 years and you're just sitting in a movie theater and someone's just playing back your memories of your life. That shit got me.
It was a really, really good video package. Unfortunately, they could not use any of the WCW because WWE owns that library. So you saw
AEW just didn't ask them for
it. I don't think they would have given it to them.
I don't think so either.
So you see a lot of his like his Japan stuff, and then I think his NWA stuff that or TNA that they were able to like get a hold of.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a complete video package. I would have liked to see Era Sting too, but for what it was very, you're right, bittersweet, because it's like, man, this career is coming to an end.
Yeah, not even for as a performer. Just imagine someone, us in 40 years, just like has a projection of all of our memories as we go through life.
Yeah.
Right.
I'd fucking ball.
Yeah. I did laugh though after all the Sting stuff's done because the Bucks come up in the fucking Cody elevator. They come out in the little Cody Vader. And this whole match, with the exception of a few parts, is just Sting dominating Bucks. Like, this is just a Sting showcase for all the years. I mean, his sons get involved. They do their own Stinger splashes. Not perfect, but they're not wrestlers, so it's... I'm gonna forgive that. But one of the sons does get like massive air as he does one of his, and that's like a image that's been shared around. I did put notes here for the spot that everybody probably knows about. I put Darby, please. And then Darby goes through a glass pane.
Darby Allin is going to...
He's here for a fun time, not a long time.
Not a long time, correct.
You know that back surgery Randy Orton just had? He's probably going to have that in another year, too. At this point.
he keeps insisting that his back is fine.
I don't think his back is fine.
I think he's a damn liar. Yeah, exactly.
I don't think he can
his
feel it
back is
anymore,
fine,
so
not
he
at
doesn't
all,
know. It's like,
'Cause, I mean, at some point, he should be like, "Oh."
so getting
That's
onto
a slip
Darby
disc.
for a second. At the end of this match, he's like, I got approval from my doctor that I'm good to climb Mount Everest. And I'm like, does this take into account what you did this match, Darby? Was this...
The doctor's blowing himself on like, nah, you can't do it no more, man.
Like, come
Also,
on,
I saw that match.
this leads into something also that happened on Dynamite, where him and Jay White had a face-off because they have a match at Big Business. That Darby putting himself through this class did in fact leave Sting to wrestle by himself. So how good of a partner was Darby during that final match? And then Darby cutting a really... It's a weird promo because there are inherent risks of climbing Mount Everest. It is a very, very dangerous thing to do. So it's just so weird talking to him like, hey, I might not come back from this. And I'm like, wait, should we be cutting this promo? Like, what if he doesn't come back? Like, this is gonna be one of those things that's like one of those like eerie wrestling things. It's gonna be like the Ultimate Warrior, like
The Ultimate Warrior promo, yeah.
where he like talks about the heart of a man and then like just fucking dies the next day.
The next day.
Yeah, that was always really creepy to me too.
And I'm just like, I think with Ultimate Warrior, I think he knew. I think he probably felt something was off, but he just couldn't pinpoint.
And I hope that's not the case with Darby, but he might know that.
I think Darby's just going to want to. I think Darby's just going to want to push for it. You know, like that's the thing. Yeah. He's like, hey, we've gotten this far. Let's keep going. I hope Darby comes back.
Darby Allin is 31 years old. As somebody who has just crested into the middle of my 30s, you don't feel it at first, and then you feel all of it.
Yeah, wait till you hit my age. You start feeling it every morning you wake up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it's just like,
you don't feel
Darby,
it until you start feeling it.
Exactly.
Darby, please come back. Like, that's all we're asking. Like, please know your fucking limit at this point. Because I'm also like, if he does succeed, if he gets to the top of Mount Everest, the fuck is this man going to do? Is there anything else he can do? What is he going to start chasing to feel like he accomplished something? You know,
where's this next high coming from?
Yeah, where's the next high coming from? I think Darby, for the most part, might have kind of a self-destructive path to him. He needs to accomplish something, and I think if he does this, it's going to be a very, very rough ride for him. So I think he's just going to have the feeling of like emptiness. Like, what is there left to do?
Mm-hmm.
Is Darby going to go to space? Is that going to be his next like character arc?
Don't put that idea into his head.
Don't. What did we tell you about manifestation the last time you did this shit?
He's going to cough and drop from the ISO.
He's probably going to try to do the skydiving record that guy did.
The Red Bull guy, yeah.
The Red Bull guy did a few years ago.
Maybe he's going to be like, we're going to go 10 feet higher and I'm going to cough and drop out.
Yeah.
So he puts himself through a table and glass pane, and he's out of the match for the most part. Sting is 1v2 in the Young Bucks, and it's a perfect mix of Sting bumping his ass off in this match and also no selling at the right times. The super kicks, the classic Sting no selling, and just the cherry on top of this is just winning. You know, I think
also getting his sons to do kind of bad, actually. Stinger splashes in the corners.
Yeah, mentioned that. It's like they're not like the wrestlers, so I'm gonna forgive it a bit. It's just nice seeing them there, though. We all assumed Sting would lose this match because that's the usual thought, right? As a legend, you go out on your back, you put the younger guys over. Plus, they had the titles, so I'm like, they're not keeping these titles. But they did what we did not expect them to do. They let Sting retire as champion. And Tony Khan now gets his fix for another tournament. So it's a perfect cherry on top of a career in the last few years, treated as a wrestler and what he's been allowed to do. Because you think before signing with AEW, he was told you can't wrestle anymore. So to go 30-0 against great opponents in matches, I think this is the perfect send-off for legend.
He also got to, reunite with Muda.
Got to reunite with Muda. It's like a bucket list of Sting just doing, stuff that he wanted to do.
It's a Sting going out on the Shield,
Yeah.
it was a beautiful ride while it lasted. I appreciate AEW for letting him, just go out there and be the Stinger, the icon.
Yeah.
For however many years that he had left in his career.
A few months ago, I picked up a Sting Funko Pop, so wanted to get that before it might have changed in value. Because I also
I want to try to find an old WCW Sting action figure.
I also wanted to get tickets for this show. Like I knew when they were going live, and I'm like, I should bite the bullet and show, take this with me, and see if I can get it signed. Ultimately, I didn't.
$1 million.
Ultimately, I didn't, but I think this was the perfect way to end the show. And after it went off the air, they had Tony Khan come out and talk to him. The locker room came out and congratulated Sting. It's just, what a great conclusion to a career.
Yep.
So yeah, that's Revolution. A few lows, not horrible matches, just not the best. And then just a final hour that just does not fucking stop. Like,
that was one of the best final hour in a pay-per-view I've ever seen.
Again, I love AEW, a tight 4-hour pay-per-view. Like, they squeeze a lot of action into 4 hours, surprisingly.
I'm not surprised. They don't have.
I wasn't able to watch it. I wasn't able to watch it on Sunday though. Apparently, Bleacher Report was fucked up, so I ended up watching it Monday night. And
I caught it just fine.
And at this point, I just want AEW to try to get that max deal done, because Bleacher Report, their streaming service is kind of ass.
Their streaming service is
It
ass.
really is.
Every time I maximize or minimize the window for the feed, it makes a sound, and I hate that. Why do you do this?
And this has been a constant problem with them for months. And I'm like, AEW and Warner Bros. Just need to work it out so we can just get AEW on Max for streaming. So the pay-per-views will be of quality, and we don't have to deal with this crap from Bleacher Report. But apparently the Triller TV stream was fine, though, because there were no issues with that somehow.
But final thoughts on this. I think we all agree that Ospreay Takeshita took match of the night.
It did.
I think the Ospreay Takeshita match earned its match of the night, and it's definitely probably my match of the year. That's something insanely better.
Yeah. And on top of that, as far as the women's division goes, it has been better than it has been in years past, but I really do think they need to put more of a focus on it. And if Mercedes Moné, which they're pretty much implicating that she's all but coming to AEW next week, when she arrives, I really hope that they start putting this division more at the forefront than anything, because I think this is an important thing.
They've been saying that she's coming back that she's going to be here at the next AEW for the last 6 weeks.
Yeah, so they're pretty much projecting that she's arriving. I
think big business is the arrival date.
Yeah, it is.
You wouldn't make a standalone show with a new name if there wasn't going to be something big happening.
So when she does arrive, I really do hope they start taking this a little more seriously.
If it wasn't Mercedes, it would have been Okada, but Okada just showed up on a Dynamite.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, it has to be Mercedes at this point.
Obviously.
The question is, while we're speculating, Dynasty, the new pay-per-view that they announced. People are suspecting it's MJF's big comeback, but there's nothing in storyline right now that would lead to an MJF return for Adam Cole. Nothing no seeds or anything have been planted. I'm wondering if Dynasty is going to be their female pay-per-view.
Huh.
I'm wondering if that's what they're doing. I think if the thing is if we want to build up the women's division, we're bringing Mercedes in, a lot more focus on it. Let's give them an event.
I don't think it's going to be their all-female pay-per-view per se. I do think there will be more women's matches on this pay-per-view. Because you got two titles that can center around it, so they have plenty of time to build that up.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm wondering, people are saying the Dynasty because that's MJF's trios in Major League Wrestling. But the TNA just signed Alex Hammerstone. So it's like, all right, well, we're not getting Alex Hammerstone in the faction. So the speculation is there.
He can't make it. That doesn't mean he can't make a cameo, but I kind of doubt it.
I kind of doubt it.
It starts turning into like CM Punk. He's going to be at the next pay-per-view rumors when you start doing that.
I just hope the Mercedes arrival does not turn into a Punk situation where she's top of the card. I think that's the thing that Tony Khan probably needs to keep in check is like, hey, I really want you in my company, but I don't want you enough that I'm going to give you kind of the reins on things. That's what happened last time, kind of ruined it for everybody at this point.
Yeah.
But I think as long as she's respected, I'm pretty sure she's seeing what's going on with Naomi right now. She's just like doing the SpongeBob like behind the rock thing. It's just I think Mercedes is going to be a great addition, and if we can get Jamie Hayter back, we have Serena Deeb building herself up. We got Thunder Rosa doing the LFI hand pose now. Bring back a lot of the women performers and giving them really good things to build off of. I just kind of want to see that continue to flourish and get more attention. Like, 1 8-minute match is not enough on 3-month pay-per-view.
Right.
Spend 3 months building up storylines. You can put more than one women's match, and not just on the kickoff show. You got to put it on the main. But all in all, I really, really like this pay-per-view. If only for that last 3 matches, just that nonstop last hour. The Ospreay match is the Ospreay match alone is worth the money.
Like overall, this was a really good pay-per-view. This is a solid start for AEW this year. And I really do like that they're going somewhat back to basics. They started a new season of Dynamite. They got the new set going. Reminds me of the old set.
Tunnels are back.
Makes what to do. And then I think AEW is trying to go back to what made it good in the first place. They tried a bunch of things the last 2 years. Some of it failed. And I guess they're just trying to work their way back to their roots.
The world title picture feels like old AEW did, where now it's not just one-on-one. It's like there's groups of people vying for this title like it used to. I'm really happy we're back to like that feeling of the locker room, and all these stories are starting to mingle because of their chase of the main title now.
Yep.
Also, now we have some nice little new surprises thrown in. We got Okada being corporate Okada. Young Bucks. It's going to be a great thing to see. Whatever goes on with Kenny when he comes back. Whatever goes on with Adam Page when he shows back up from his suspension. It's going to be a lot of nice little surprises. I'm excited to see where it all goes, especially with O'Reilly now, too. So,
yep.
Yeah, now we wait for Dynasty, which I think is April?
About a month. Yeah, about a month from now, I think.
Next month's gonna be a double month, isn't it?
Yep. WrestleMania, Dynasty, all of that.
God damn it! All right.
WrestleMania is gonna be the doozy though, because that's like
2
nights of.
At least we're getting reasons to watch wrestling.
Yeah.
Okay, you got anything to add?
That's it. It was a really good pay-per-view. When I enjoyed watching it. I don't typically rate pay-per-views particularly high. I didn't like Elimination Chamber, was just okay to me. Revolution was really good. I'm always going to be that person who's like, well, you could have done this here. I've yet to see a perfect pay-per-view from anyone, and
absolutely,
I will continue to critique here and there. By all means, I am not saying this pay-per-view sucked or anything like that, but just little.
In terms of wrestling quality, I would prefer to watch this over Elimination Chamber.
Yes, for sure.
Let's just make that clear. It's like if you had to show somebody wrestling for the first time, definitely pick this show over Elimination Chamber. Then you won't get a 40-minute talk show segment during your pay-per-view.
Yeah.
But all right, so that has been our episode on Revolution. We will see you guys few weeks with WrestleMania and or Dynasty, whichever comes first. We'll have to double check. Yeah. God, it's so fun to be a wrestling fan that doesn't care about stupid shit.
Exactly.
Like,
Get
so
that
fun to
tribalism
be,
out of here.
so fun being a wrestling fan. There was one guy who pointed out, it's like, oh fuck, Sting's retired. We're never going to see Sting versus PCO, and I'm like, oh fuck, I kind of want that match. Like, I was like, god damn it, we did miss something. We weren't going to ever get Sting and Undertaker. We could have gotten Sting and PCO. But yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, follow all the stuff in the description. If you're listening on one of the audio forums and you want to watch the video, find us on YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter. We don't use it much, but it is there. I do post updates to it as needed. So, thanks guys for watching. Take care, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
See you later.